I do want to welcome Mike and Ted with American Solutions for Business here today with us. They have just an incredible story themselves of how they've been able to pivot during the pandemic. But most importantly, I've heard, customers are changing and the word data keeps coming up. And this was just the perfect session for us to offer. So, a little background on Mike. He attended Iowa State University. He's referral and retention expert. He's dropped over 500 million pieces of direct mail. He's won 31 awards for his sales service and over 40 years of experience. So thank you, Mike, for being here. And a little bit about Ted. He graduated from the University of Minnesota. He is a B2C and a B2B strategic marketing expert. He's created and executed over 1,000 campaigns, 6 direct marketing awards, and over 40 years of experience. So 80 years of experience here for us today. And I can't wait for us to learn about data today and who our customers are. So Mike, I'm going to hand it over to you and get us going today.
Thanks, Christina. Welcome, everybody. This is going to be a 30,000 foot overview of what you need to look at. Everybody has kind of been hearing all the terms, big data, AI advertising, what have you, and we're here to make it as simple as possible for you. We're trying to make the complicated simple. It's amazing what's going on out there. My own personal story during the COVID crisis, I lost 60% of my business. And that was it was a kick in the teeth. But what I did during that time is I re-engineered my offering, working with Ted, and we came up with a number of different programs that we've done, plus added a lot to it, over the last year. So, one of the things we want to look at is today the sophisticated customer and prospect have the world's information available to them via the internet. People are shopping completely different than they did at least even 10 years ago or even a year ago. The internet just exploded. They can shop, research, buy all from the comfort of their home or office. And as a business person, you need to ask yourself, how do I reach those prospects that are in market for my product? And so that's what we're here to share with you today is how you message, how you determine who those customers are that are in market, which can be done, and market, and then send your marketing messages out to them. And that way you get a better ROI and you get a tremendous lift on your return from what you've been doing before. Just a couple of slides here about how people are buying today. 95% of people who have do search online, and they'll search out 5 to 12 companies to get educated on what they're buying. Depending on what it is. If it's a pizza, the people are not going to search that much online. But if it's a major purchase like a home, maybe some remodeling, that type of thing, you're going to have people going to 5 to 12 companies to see what's available. 70% of the buyers are decided when they contact you if they're going to buy or not. So used to be people would talk to salespeople, B2B, B2C, they would talk to salespeople, to get more information. But by the time they've actually contacted your company, it's amazing how much they know about your company, and they're willing to take a look at you guys. 60% of the people that are searching do buy, and that's a huge number. So you need to know who's in the market to search. 90% of the consumers read online reviews. 88% of the commuters trust online reviews as much as personal recommendation. That's a big number. And 92% of customers will use a local business with a 4-star rating or higher. That is something that we really need to keep in mind. If you get nothing else out of that, keep that in mind for your reputation. Customers will spend 31% more with businesses with excellent reviews. 70 to 80% of people ignore paid search. So if you're doing a lot of pay-per-click, that type of thing, people ignore that because they understand that you're out there paying for that top position. 92% of the search is found on page 1 And if you want to play in that arena, that's a knockdown, drag out arena, because the top three positions represent 75.1% of the clicks on Google. And this shows you right here, who clicks through and where it goes. After you get beyond position 5 or 7, you're done. People just aren't going to find you. The average person looks at 3 to 8 websites before connecting with a business. 90%, this is a huge number here. 96% of your website visitors are anonymous. We can show you who has come to your website and actually remarket them with the ultimate remarketing program, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And 100% of your competitors' website visitors never come, are anonymous. So not knowing who goes to what website, these are things that we'll be able to tell you as we go along, as this program unfolds. To give you a little idea of how everything is changing, the ad tech industry is flooded with a bunch of challenges. GDPR is driving stricter data regulation. That is the European version of security over in Europe, and it's coming here to the United States. You need to have some permissions to email people. It's really a different, it's going to be a different industry overall. Brand safety concerns. Apple Safari, I don't know if you're using cookies, and there's a difference between cookies and pixels, but they're limiting cookie use. Google's updated Chrome privacy features to the mix. Many are left wondering what's next in programming. While consumers, 39, aren't comfortable sharing their data, they also appreciate tailored interactions. So they talk about predictive, and if you are involved with Amazon or anything else, they are always suggesting things based on your prior purchasing that you've done with them. And the other thing too is that here's a couple of articles of interest for you. Your cookie profile, how accurate is your cookie profile? El Toro versus cookies. This is about how cookies are dying off. The GDPR impact, and the California Consumer Privacy Act. That's a huge area that you have to be looking at when you're doing email marketing, retargeting, and things of that nature. So, and everything we do is all GDPR or CCP and GDPR approved. Here is a formula that we have worked with that we seem to, people talk about the creative and they spend a lot of money on the creative. But bottom line here, this is what we have found, is that 40% of your marketing campaigns start with data and the right advertising medium. People say, for instance, Yellow Pages are dead, the shoppers are dead, some online, but it all depends. There's no bad media. It just depends on who your customer is and where where they hang out. So so you need to determine that. And if you start off any campaign with bad data, you're going to have bad results. And 40% that we have found is the right offer, price, or brand differentiation. This is something that you need to look at and make sure to get that person to make that first purchase with you. You need to have that right offer, or you need to differentiate your brand. You need to have, you've seen a lot of the tables out there where brand A has all these benefits, brand B, brand C. And so that helps people make a decision. And then the frequency, you've got to determine the frequency of who you're talking to. How often do you need to determine how often you want to touch base with them, because most people will not buy until they've had 8 to 12 interactions with you. And then 5% will be creative from that standpoint. Ted, would you like to take over this on the data sources?
Sure. Thanks, Mike. And Mike and I are sort of hamming and egging it today. I'm Mike's head of creative in simplest terms. The first thing when we're working with a client is really understand who their customer is, whether it's a B2B client or a B2C. If it's a B2B client, what verticals is our client generating their customers from, what size company, what are the titles, and then what are the personalities of that buyer. Now, everybody has bought lists before on a B2B side, but we take besides the revenue size, employee size, and the vertical, and we can, once we get the names of those individuals, we can bounce them against Experian, and we've got 400 points of data on everybody. So then we can really find out who that person is, their income, they're married, how many kids they have, the household. So we develop a personality of them. And then we can, once we understand our clients' current customers, and we're buying a list of prospective customers, we can really match those profiles. So then we're targeting people that are best lookalike. And if we whip on that data, then everything else falls apart. So when Mike said that 40% of success is data, that is correct. By understanding who your best customers are and finding lookalikes is very critical. And that's just more than just a name and an address. I mean, we have 400 points of data, and it's a little bit of age, and these are different profiles. And we're just seeing snapshots here. Then on the consumer side, we do the same too. We'll upload a client's list of 500,000 names or 50,000 names and do a profile analysis of their customers so the client really understands the personalities of these people. And then we can find lookalikes. Now, we have hundreds of data sources, and we're just going to go through some of the lists at the bottom here: website data, search data, social data, geoframing, AI data, and mobile location data. These are all different technologies, but each one of these technologies is starting off targeting a certain set of data. Mike, if you'd like to go to the next one.
Sure.
The first.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
Mike.
Dick. Okay. Identify.
Sure. Mike.
The first program we have here is for B2C. And if you recall, we talked about 94% of the people are anonymous when they hit your website. And so what we have, one of our basic programs is our Insight Real Time, where when somebody hits a website, it's amazing how many people are actually out searching for it. And you probably half of your traffic that's coming to your website is either bots or international traffic. So when you purchase retargeting and things of that nature, you're wasting a lot of that money on that kind of retargeting. And so what we tell you is the people that are actually customers, consumers, people that are interested, we get rid of all those bots and international traffic. And what we can do is we can pick up their IP address, and about 50% of them, let's say, for instance, 30,000 people have hit your website. We can pick up 50% of those people with their home address, how they're identified. And so what that allows us to do is get more information on their location and their geography. With the home physical address, we can pick up another 70% of those, or 10,500. We can verify that home physical address through Experian. We suppress business addresses, non-matched addresses. You're 95% confident that the person lives at that address, in that home address. And then what we do is we can bounce it off Experian, and that will reduce it down even more. And this is where we bounce it off the 400 profile points. You tell us what's going to be a qualified buyer. And so we've got a lot of case studies where we have one mattress company that we've been working with where we got a lift of almost 10% of their buyers because they were spending their marketing dollars on those buyers that were qualified buyers. This was an expensive mattress, and so that's one of the things we need to look at. And then we can turn around from this Insight Real Time, and we can market either direct mail The old school direct mail still works. It's your email box is full, but your mailbox is, people look through their mail. We can also do emails, to these folks, and then we can also put together ads, digital ads on both Instagram, Facebook, and Google. So that kind of gives you a little bit of idea of just one solution that you can have for this. Now, this is strictly for B2C. We do have a B2B.
Hey, Mike, if we just jump back one
Sure.
slide, please.
Sure.
For the group here, the question may be going through everybody's mind is, why should I identify these anonymous website visitors? And the first answer to that is they wouldn't be on your website if they weren't in market to buy. And the second thing is, everybody should be doing retargeting, the ads that follow you around for about a day or so. But what we've found is if we can identify the people who are coming to your website, and what I mean by identify is just not anybody, but those most likely to buy and those who most closely match your best customer profile. Because when you start sorting all this out, you may have 30,000 unique visitors, but we may sort out to just maybe 6,000, like the example shows here, 6,300, that really match your best customer profile. Then we continue to start dripping them. We'll drop a direct mail piece, we'll put an email, maybe a social ad in front of them. And what we have proven when we identify those people and continue that personal marketing to them, we're converting another 10%. Some it's 5%. We've had about 10. We've had more than 10 too. But the rule of thumb is 10%, which is substantially greater return than retargeting. Now, we're not saying not dump retargeting, but this identification and this extra process has a huge impact in conversion. And you think about all the money you spend on SEO, social media, paid search, you get all these people to your website, and less than 4% identify, and 96% don't. It gets very frustrating. So if you could, maybe convert another 3, 4, 5, 10%, it adds a huge amount to the bottom line.
Why don't you go over the B2B here, Ted?
Sure. The B2B world is a different game than the B2C world of identifying anonymous website visitors. On the B2B world, about 98% of your people hit your website. You have no clue who they are. Now, what's interesting, when people are coming to a B2B website today, majority of them are coming from their company address. So the company website address, it's very difficult to get it down to an individual address compared to a B2C website where you're generally coming on your personal device. So with this technology software, it's pretty simple to put on the website, but it's basically identifying the business IP. So the company name, the revenues, the verticals. You can see how long they've been on the site. And maybe 20, 30, we add a second layer to it where we can identify maybe 10, 20, 30% of the individual's names and emails. Then your sales organization can start following up. But maybe if you don't get the person's name, if you know the company name, generally the salespeople know within a company who might be calling or looking at their website. You can also see if competitors are checking you out. But it's a phenomenal lead opportunity. And again, understanding who's coming to your website, not just a click or unique visits, that doesn't really tell you much, but really the names of the company. And then your salespeople can follow up. And if you start to find out if a lot of the verticals that are coming to your website are incorrect, then you can address your paid search and SEO as well.
The other thing too is, as a salesperson, when you know the company that's come to it, it's amazing within LinkedIn, your normal connections, you can pretty well figure out who might be interested and is curious about what's going on within your company. It might be somebody that you've been calling on, for quite some time, and all of a sudden now they're starting to hit your site. That tells the salesperson that it's getting closer. You've made those contacts, and they are curious about your organization and purchasing from you. So that is something that you want to do. The other one here, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ted, but this can be used for both B2C and B2B. You want to talk a little bit about the in-market search data campaign?
Sure. I love search. The internet's one of the greatest inventions to the marketing industry. And we've talked about SEO and page search, the rough game of page one of search. And so this technology allows, it's keyword based, just like page search, but we're not competing on page one. We're identifying people that are, putting into their browser, say I'm looking to buy business software for HR, and they may put in their HR business software, and then they hit, enter, and they start searching, and then they may pick something on page 1 or 2 or 3, what makes no difference, and they go to a business's website where those keywords are optimized. That's where we're able to identify that person who's on that web page where those keywords are optimized. And within 10 minutes, we're emailing them our information about our client's product or service. Now we have that person's name and their email, so we can continue an educational email advertisement to them. And about half the people wear their postal too, so if we wanted to, we could drop a direct mail piece to them. But that's very effective since, it's very hard to win on page 1. We all know that. We've talked about that 100 times over, let alone every search. And a lot of people aren't even going to page 1. They may know a company's name. So they're going right to that company's website. So we can identify those people and put your name in front of people going to your competitor sites or like company sites. And the cool thing is a fraction of the cost of paid search. And you can be in front of tens of 20, 50, 100,000 people at a fraction of the cost. And as you know, most things take a while to decide, and you need a lot of information on. So if you can put yourself, in front of people who are searching, like we said earlier, 60% of the people who are searching do buy. And just think if you could be in front of that many more people multiple times, what kind of revenue and leads could be generated. This technology began in the cookie-based category, and it's moved into what we call the identity graph. Basically, in the simplest terms, it gets around the cookie-based solution. It is not learning from your search behaviors at all, which CCPA is, and the cookie changes is sort of blocking or eliminating that category of AI marketing. This is strictly identifying you when you're on a web page, and then it drips an email to you.
The bottom line here too is that with pay-per-click and search, you don't know, and you have one shot at that person. It might cost $5 to get that pay-per-click. You have one shot, and they may come to it, and it might be a mistake to come to your website or whatever. They're in and out in 3-4 seconds. But with this program, you know who has come to the website, and you are able to market to them 3, 4, 5, 10 times, via email. And so it really helps. And people that are in market searching, our email open rates are tremendous on this because people are in market and they're interested in this. And so, making sure that you have a good subject line on the follow-up, and you have a good program to nurture those folks to a purchase. This is a key to this program.
Mike, you bring up a good point in the email marketing is if I'm buying a email list, what I call a code list, code list meaning we buy lookalikes, and I start emailing them, maybe, I get a 5% open rate. and a 1% click through. And those numbers are very impressive. And that's a different open rate than, current customers you're emailing to. Remember, that's a cold list. They don't know who you are. On the data search technology, we're getting open rates of 15 to 25%, and we're getting click-throughs of 5 to 15%. Those are huge. They're 3 or 4 times higher than social media click-throughs, paid search click-throughs, SEO click-throughs. The reason they're so high is because people are in market. In other words, they're searching, so they want to learn more information. And our click-through rates are as strong on email 1 as they are email number 5, assuming we're not just trying to pound them with price, or buy. We're educating the buyer who's in market on how to make a good decision and why we may be a good alternative for them. If you take that approach, you're going to win more times than not.
And that brings us into the in-market social follower. People that are on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, they group up. Everybody has different interests. They group up into different things. So let's say, for instance, we're working on a program, a tequila company, and this tequila wants to target certain competition because they feel like they've got a better quality tequila. They know people love tequila. These are tequila lovers because they're in their groups. And so you might have a Patron that has over 1.2 million followers. So what we've been able to do is we can define and target an audience according to a geographic area. And we can actually go into Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, or even Twitter, and we can actually harvest those names of those people within a certain geographic area. And we can also set it up according to how many people you want to do an email marketing campaign to. So in this case, they were opening up 3 different markets, and they wanted 6,000 tequila lovers in those 3 different markets. And so we went in and we're harvesting the list. And then we will start, and we've designed and we've written the copy and we've designed the email, and we will start emailing those. We'll start emailing those folks, and they'll be followed up with 9 different emails. From that standpoint. So what this does is that people are interested in the brand. They like the brand, and it's a competitor's brand. And this is where when you're doing programs that you're comparing different products to and things of this nature, this works tremendously. From that standpoint. Is there anything else you want to add to this, Ted?
No, it's if you could buy a list of your own social media followers or competitors, or a like brand of 5, 10, 20, 30,000 people, they're already interested in that brand or that particular product, and your product adds on, or it's a competitor and you want to introduce it to them. It's a great data source to put yourself in front of.
So that kind of gives a little bit of an area there. And we have a couple case studies here. Ted, you want to go over the case study here?
Sure. This is a realtor. Again, they've been buying leads from Zillow and Realtor.com and many of those sources. They've been using Google paid search and social media for years, with some success, but from a cost per lead, it was very, very extremely expensive, and none of it's exclusive. So we shared with them the data search technology. Basically, we're targeting about 25,000 people who are searching to buy a home, and we had 5 emails set up to send to them. And with this chart, without a lot of numbers on it, but you see, we sent about the target was 125,000 emails. We were able to deliver 123,000. and only 130 weren't delivered. That's because we have high quality emails and we got a very robust AI server. We got 22% average open rate over 5. That's a big number. The click-throughs were 3,051. The average click-through rate over 5 emails is 10.94%. That's a big number. Now, so what? A lot of people open the email. A lot of people click through. Ted, did you give me a lead? We generate 870 leads, which is 28% of the people who click through. That was huge. That far exceeded what they're doing with everything else combined, TV, radio, billboard, online, social, etc. And the offer was, we had, that's important too. We said, here's your free brochure on how to buy a home, whether it's new or existing. And it was a white paper that was built, had tons of detail. And they had a high close rate on these leads as well. Then there's some technical stuff, soft, hard bounces. Well, I'm not going to get into that. Basically, those are insignificant numbers in the email marketing world. And that 25,000 people, we had the data on those people, so we could continue to email them. They're now in our database forever.
Yeah. So the next one we want to talk about is geofencing versus geoframing. A lot of folks have heard of geoframing or geofencing, and that's where you're picking up all the traffic within a cell tower area. You can see in the left-hand side there where you're picking up the devices that are driving through that area. Just really, it's haphazard. You're picking up everybody. There's no way you can actually drill down. Well, with geoframing, we can pick up, we can take it within 1 square meter, and we can actually geoframe your competitors' locations, a stadium, whatever it is you're looking at, the Iowa State Fair, if you wanted to do it from that standpoint. But we can tell everybody that's going in and out, if they've got their GPS enabled on their phone, we can tell everybody that goes in and out of that location. We then can go back and take that IP address and find out where they live and run it through Experian and figure out if this is somebody that you would like to start messaging and start selling to. Ted, you want to go a little bit further than that?
Sure. Geofencing was the first in the game, and it was really cool to do. And I did one geofencing campaign many years ago, and it just didn't work. And I sat back and I said, first of all, you're advertising to people while they're in the fence zone. So maybe they're in there 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or an hour. Then I sat back, hey, how many people are really on their phones, on websites, or an app that's serving an ad in that zone? It's not very, that many people. You may be taking a picture, post it on Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook or whatever, checking your email. So the odds of you being successful while they're in that fence zone is not a high probability. Then when you leave the fence zone, you lose them. So in my opinion, that's a waste of money. Statistically, it's a bad technology. Unless you need to advertise to people why they're there to bring you over to your business, or something like that in the next few minutes. The geoframing identifies the person who's in that framed area, and we can market to you, not just today, the next week, for months, years to come, because now we have your device identified, and we have your home address. With your home address, we have your IP. I know this sounds creepy, but it is, and creepy is good in marketing. And now we can market to you for a long period of time and invite you to become a customer of our client's business. And it's 90% accurate, so there's no waste.
And so,
now, if you have a chance, Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to go ahead and say that it's not only if you go to, for instance, we have a lot of realtors that people go out and look at open houses. And some people just look at a house because they're just interested or they're curious or they're a neighbor, what have you. But we set up programs for realtors, and somebody we can track those people, and we can find out if they go into 3 open houses, then we can start marketing to them. So the technology is great, and people, and Ted is correct. It sounds kind of creepy, but you got to remember, Google has been tracking you since 2005. And this is all, because of Google technology. And like I said, if you don't want to be tracked, turn off your GPS. That's the way to do it. And they can't track you then. But then the mapping and a lot of other stuff just doesn't work. Like for instance, if you say, pharmacy near me, it won't know it. So though that's the trade-off for this technology. Ted, you did this physical location on the Star Shoppers.
Here's an example of the technology. And believe me, we always have our nobody's going to turn off all your apps. Your phone is constantly sending signals where you're at. So unless you totally shut it down 24/7, it's tracking you. The nice thing is we use all this data, we follow the privacy laws, etc. And the type of ads we put in front of people are professional and they have to be approved. So it's highly regulated, and we're a very highly regulated data shop. Even though we do advertising and stuff like that, we start with data. That's the key. Here's an example of this geoframe technology. Earlier, Mike had mentioned that 100% of your competitors' websites are anonymous. Well, say you're a car dealer and you like to advertise to people visiting your competitor's lot. You can't go by that list. Well, we can geoframe and identify the people and start advertising to them within that same day. And in the car business, just a fun fact, 78% of the people who walk on that dealership's lot are anonymous. The salespeople don't get their contact information. And they drive through after hours on Sundays. Now with COVID environment, the salespeople are not out into the lot shaking hands and things like that due to, social distance protocols. Even in some of the states that are pretty open, you have to meet by appointment. So there's a lot of lost opportunity. And the average person in the car business visits 4 lots. And just as many people are in market the first day as day 61 to buy a car. So not everything happens. I'm just giving this example in the auto business, but you can take this across in just about every industry. Not everything happens. And I'm searching today, I'm going to buy today. Unless I break my pipe, or if it's January, I have no heat in my house. All of us in the Midwest understand the importance of heat. But so these are just examples of the geoframing. Now, outside of, like auto and realtor, we have clients that are geoframing their competitors' plants because they're looking to recruit new employees. So again, identify people that are working at competitors' plants, start advertising our clients' business to them. And that's just another medium where we go after target people who are employed versus those who are unemployed. And that's worked very successfully. We have an application for truck drivers. We have all the truck drivers in the United States identified. I say all, it's probably 80%. So so I'm not misquoting things. And we have a great geoframe truck recruiting campaign. Just one of many applications we have with mobile. There are probably 400 different audiences that we've built with this mobile identification technology. Mike?
Well, we've got about 2 minutes here before our time is up. Do you want to go through just very briefly the artificial intelligence?
Sure. This is another big data predictive analytics technology. It's a denigraph based, not cookie based. More important, what we do is we put a pixel on your website, and it's going to learn from people who fill out a form or who buy online. It's just, and then it finds lookalike people who are searching on the internet. And then within minutes, it starts advertising to them. It's not sending an email, but it is going to put an ad in front of them on a website or a mobile app, within Facebook or on LinkedIn, putting your business in front of people who are searching. These are typical display ads. And then they come to a landing page, which is designed very professionally. You can see we've had great results. As you think about your website and landing pages, think about them as you would one of your salespeople, whether they're retail salespeople or B2B salespeople. A website or your landing page is a digital salesperson. How well designed those things are can make a world of difference in your online experience. A lot of people don't think of it that way, but that's what your website is. You're exhibiting in out on the internet for your business. And people will spend $40, $50, $60,000 for a base salesperson, but they only put $5 or $10 grand into their website. So whatever that's worth to you. And this is another technology I was mentioning in the Geo Mobile, where we have hundreds of different audiences. And the technology is just building databases on where people go with their phones. We have golf audiences. We have moms without kids. We have moms with young kids. It just builds, where you go with your phone. And that's as valuable as search data, because where you go with your phone is a high indicator of how you purchase.
And these
are just a couple more. Go ahead, Mike.
Target audiences that we have, from that standpoint. And this is what happens, as you can see. It's a mom that go to school, grocery, kids stores, discount shoppers. We can geoframe dollar stores in your area, all that sort of. It's amazing what we can actually tell you who your prime customer or prime prospect is. So, Christina, that's it. If there's any questions or anything else, we can take those now.
Perfect. We did have a question come in. This person asked, do their services work alongside CRM platforms?
Yes. Let me expand on that long answer. We could take our client's CRM and suppress out, so we're not remarketing those people come to your website, or if they're out there searching. And secondly, the data, if it's new data that we're bringing in, we can, if it's purchase data, we can add that to your CRM, so you continue to market to those using your existing system.
Okay.
But most of our clients will provide their CRM list, and we will build a profile on who those customers are, and which is a much stronger profile than your analytics will share with you, because we're dealing with like Experian data. And then we can retarget in on best lookalikes.
Okay. I did have one anonymous question that came in about costs for services and size of businesses that you work with. Any information you'd want to share on that?
Well, we do have a couple of, for the smaller Main Street, it doesn't get into all the services that we have right here, but we can, if somebody's looking at doing something on a smaller level, a small business, probably between $2,000 and $5,000 for like blending a direct mail campaign along with a, online advertising to follow up. It's a very simple one. You can track the mailing. That's a simple one. But if, for instance, if you want to you have some, Ted, what about some of the profile services that we can do? What are we looking at to start?
Generally, in the digital spend, depending, the minimum is about $5,000. Most clients, they'll do a $10,000 pilot to make sure it works. So we got the messaging right then they'll roll. And generally, these technologies, if you're looking for leads and looking for customers, the number one source to invest your money is online, because people are searching. They wouldn't be searching if they didn't have a need. So if you get in front of them, it's a gold mine. And there's and a lot of times we can show you in advance what the search opportunity is, so you can build an ROI up front. It's a crystal ball ROI, but it's better than, spending in hope. At least you know up front if it's what the probability of success is. And we build all that ROI analysis up front, break even, half, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%, acquisition rates.
Okay, we had another question. It says, for email advertising, you mentioned educational emails are better than focusing on price or buying. But how do you think about constructing a subject line to grab the attention?
It's a real good question. I'm going to share two examples. One example is with a consumer product, these gummy vitamins. Our client developed a formula that they patented, and we're targeting 3 of the competitors' websites, who people are coming back on a weekly basis and ordering. And we're going to introduce our client to these 3 competitors' customers. So basically, we're targeting their website visitors and going to put an offer in front of them. We've developed a 10 email series that's going to educate them on our formula, the calories, and we have actually a direct product comparison of our client versus the 3 competitors. So we beat them out in every category, including price, and then we do have an introductory offer. And that's not, we're looking at subscription, pricing, people spending $50 a month. So that's one strategy where we're using price as an introductory offer, and we're using a educational series on the client. On a B2B application, we have a software client that their software costs $60,000 to maybe $250,000. The competitor starts at $250,000 and goes up to a couple million. And we're breaking down each of the 10 components or 10 key areas a customer will go through a decision-making cycle on buying this type of software. And again, we have got a side-by-side comparison of our clients' products in all 10 categories compared to the competitors. And we, 8 of the 10, we slaughter them, 2 were equal. There's not going to be, but we're helping our prospective clients understand why our client software is better than the competitors. Then we have 10 emails, and the first email gives a master comparison. Then the next 9 will break down each one of those components specifically and why our client is great or a better alternative or equally as good as the competitor. And so hopefully that answers that question.
We have a question
and people
about...
want information too. They're searching,
Sure.
So they want to be, think about when we're online searching, we want to be educated, because most things we don't buy that often, outside of pizza, groceries, and gas and coffee, and maybe our favorite alcoholic beverage or drinking beverage, right? So we like to be educated. And if you come with that approach, you'll have better response versus, hard sell.
The emails that you collect, is that a proprietary service that you use them in, or is it something that is freely available? I think they mean, like, a lot of these small guys use like a MailChimp or a, Constant Contact. Is the service you're using proprietary to you, or is it something that they would have access to?
Real good question. MailChimp and Constant Contact are nice platforms if it's your own emails you're collecting from customers or a trade show, consumer event, things like that. When you're acquiring a list, whether we're just buying lookalike emails, you can't upload those into those platforms. They're going to block you. There are some ways you can get around it, but you have to really know what you're doing, and they have to do like 100 at a time. We're buying email lists of 5, 10, 20, 50,000 at a time. You can't drop them into those platforms. Secondly, we have these spam filter systems we run it through to make sure there are no bad emails in it. So, then you have these next part of it is, we have an AI platform that knows how to go through all these email servers and drip the emails so you get high deliverable rates and high open rates. And the last part, when we're on some of these technologies, when you're online searching, and then we have to identify you, and we start dripping you an email, that's an automated process, which a MailChimp and none of ththose systems have that. Live data will roll right into a MailChimp and it's sent out. So it's a lot of this is our proprietary technology for all the AI stuff. Then when we buy email lists, the MailChimp and Constant Contact, they're not going to allow you to upload those and start blasting away.
Okay.
Plus your subject lines, how that's done, and in the design of the email, we do a lot of HTML versus, some of the static stuff you have on Constant Contact. Just looks more professional. Remember, it's like, when you dress for success, and how well designed, your online marketing is, it can make a big difference on your success.
Okay, we got time for one more question. I've got one here. It says, for new companies that are product-based, at what stage would you say this needs to be implemented? I'm sure sooner than better, but money is obviously a big factor right now when just getting started.
We're working, I'll take that one, Ted. We're working with
Sure.
an Iowa company right now, and they have the same problem. And what they did is they engaged us about 6 months ago. And that way they understood what it was that they were, what they're looking at. And what he's trying to do right now is pull together the funding to execute on the test. So what we suggest is, just, get a hold of us. We can have a chat, figure out where you are. And it's always what comes first, the chicken or the egg. And people have been so burnt with digital advertising. They're very leery of the fact of going on with a big program. But what we try to do is all the success that we've had tremendous success. So what ends up happening is a lot of time, obviously, when we start the program, it starts paying for itself right off the bat. And so that's the way I would suggest, just get a hold of us and let's chat about it and figure out, let's look at your plans, your business plan. Let's figure out when we can enter into the program.
All right, perfect. Well, I think that is a good stopping point. You will see on the slide Mike's contact information. Mike and Ted, thank you so much for being here today. Couple wrap-up things. We will have our next top 5 will be the last Wednesday of the month coming up next month. You can check out all our other events on dsmpartnership.com. We've got a lot of great things coming. And I will tell you that this has been recorded. So if you'd like to go back and or share this presentation, we will have it up on our website in about a week. So thanks for being here today.